And now the moment I've all been waiting for. I am seated, well, standing technically with Shannon and Kay, who are, I don't know, legends. Is that the right term? Am I using the right vernacular here in the world of medical spa things, aesthetics, podcasting, content creation, course creation, all things spa? These are your two go-tos, and I'm delighted to have them on today. Kay, Shannon, how are you both?
Fabulous.
Doing wonderful. Thanks, Austin.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have you. I know I say that about, I don't know, every guest, but legitimately, when it comes to people that I am, eager to speak to, it is the both of you. So thanks for doing this. And again, this will probably be the first of many co-collaborations that we have, listeners. So if you enjoy the content here today, stay tuned, buckle up, more on the way. So let's start by framing up the conversation with a brief bio, which can be as long as you fancy, about the both of you, which is no easy task because the reality is you have, I don't know, if you look at your resume, it's probably as long as the stairway to heaven, miles and miles long. So let's maybe touch on, as a starting point, listeners, so you know, let me frame up that section first, then we'll get into the bios. We're going to be talking secrets today. Now, generally speaking, I think sharing is caring and secrets is the opposite of that, and you want to not keep secrets, but there are some secrets to the spa realm and success and profitability and all the rest of it that we're going to be touching on today with both Kay and Shannon. So that is the direction we are pointed in. But as a starting point, if you both would, either of you, give us a brief synopsis on who you are, how we got here, and your snapshot of your bio.
Okay. Shannon, you want me to do it?
Well, hi, I'm Shannon Schimmel. I started in the beauty industry when I was very young. And throughout I've been, in retail management, I've been in outside sales and marketing and advertising. And in 2006, I got my aesthetics license. And from there, I owned and operated a medical spa for a few years and then ended up selling that. And then Kay and I partnered in 2015, 2016, and we created SculptAway. So that was a very short bio.
She's being modest, listeners. Her resume, again, I would need several spare monocles to read through the totality of it, but she's a rock star, let's say, to put it in a word. So, Kay, who are you, Kay? Of course, Shannon, of course. Kay, who are you? Who are you?
I am an RN and also an attorney, and I've worked in nursing. I've worked as a litigator, but my real passion is aesthetics. The first medical spa that I formed and that I owned and operated, I partnered with two OBGYN physicians, and that was in 2006. And we're like, hey, let's do it. And we learned a lot in a short period of time. And over the years, it was great. And we ended up getting an offer and we sold it. And before that, I had always partnered with physicians doing different medical businesses, but aesthetics really is my passion. So when I had the opportunity to partner with Shannon in 2015, we both loved body contouring, and both of us, our experience in our medical spas had been that was really what was growing, that was in demand, and it was very profitable. So we set out to start a body contouring medical spa. I think, as far as I know, it's the first one of its type in 2015. So it was somewhat of a risk, but we both really believed. And it proved to be quite successful. Within less than a year, within 6 months, we had exceeded our goals, exceeded our benchmarks, and we had hit a 7-figure monthly income. Not 7-figure per month, 7-figure per year per month, if that makes any sense. And that is SculptAway, yes.
So Peter Thiel wrote a book, I believe it's titled From Zero to One. And I don't think what he realized is he was basically writing the story of Shannon and Kay. From nada to holy geez Louise, how many commas do I see in front of my eyeballs? 2 in the first year. That's insane. So we're going to unpack that today. And oh, by the way, listeners, again, and I'll stop reading from the resume here eventually. They're both authors of a very delightful read, of which I learned a lot. It's called Body Contouring 101, Your Complete Guide to Getting the Body You Want Without Surgery. Why do I mention that? Well, if it's not obvious, if you're an educational, I don't want to say I'm a snob, but someone seeking truth and all the rest of it, that's a fantastic resource that I would urge the listeners to get a copy of. I learned a lot from it. The appendix table at the very end, comparing and contrasting the different modalities and types of treatment, was very, very helpful. So fantastic work. But in any case, fantastic book. Go buy it. There's the plug for me. Not sponsored. I'm not an affiliate, but the book is just so good.
Thank you.
So let's unpack. Yeah, let's unpack how you went from 0 to 1. Now, thematically, the show is oriented around secrets. And I think where we should start is systems. Systemization, how you chose what to systemize, the marketing message, etc. So you tell me where you think we should start, and we'll start sharing the secrets with the world, which you shouldn't know because they're secrets, but we're going to make them free to the world, effective today.
Great. Well, we could not have done what we did without developing systems and processes, scripts, and other tools for every component of the business, all the way from who are you and what is your message on your website, on your advertising, all the way to what do you say when you walk in the door, to the end of the visit, the follow-up visit. So that is really the secret of our success. And then, of course, that doesn't tell you much. You have to know what the systems were. So that's what we're hoping to discuss today, is to fill some people in, to give an idea, because at this point, Shannon and I really, we love sharing what we have learned, and the experience that we've gained in helping others achieve success like we did.
I think about how they, landed a rocket on the moon, or how about the modern age? We launch a rocket, the BFR, from SpaceX into space, and then it lands back on a 2-inch pad in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean during tsunami season, somehow, miraculously. I can't imagine Elon and team were able to pull that out or off without extreme systemization. So let's pull that into the realm of aesthetics. Mm-hmm. And as a starting point, why don't we talk about the systemization of your marketing message and how you create that, how you enforce that, all the bits in the logistics of, let's say, deploying that after its creation?
Well, the marketing message actually is repeated in every operation in your business. So people might think marketing is to attract new business and get it in, but really, whatever your message is, it describes who you are and who you're not, and who you want to speak to, and the message you want. What is your particular way that you solve their problem the way they want it solved? And you take that person, and everything that you do brings that marketing message in. I mentioned that a script when someone enters the business. At our business, we had a certain greeting, and every team member greeted every patient or everyone who walked in the door with the same greeting. That went right along with our marketing message of just carrying it all the way through, with everything from that to sitting them down to their paperwork to all the way through. Shannon, can you elaborate? Austin's like.
and for Sculpt Away, our tagline was the body shaping experts. So, and we had the body shaping experts in everything that we do, and we strive to be that, the body shaping experts. But we had that message in our advertising. We had it everywhere, and so to be the body shaping experts, you had to have full range of knowledge and learn how to educate your your clients coming in that you are the expert. So that's where the scripts and the systems, of course, play a huge role too, in making sure everyone on your team is consistent in that same message, and that they're educated and they can pass along that message and that education to our patients.
Oh, wow. There are 65 things I just thought of. How do you, let's see, I think as a new business owner, the struggle for them might be, well, I'm an esthetician or I'm a spa owner. I just bought a location and I just bought these machines and I just need to make money. So I don't have time for this development of my unique value prop or my ICP type. So ideal customer profile, or I don't need to think about my avatars or who my perfect customer is, or I don't have time for this noise of creating a tagline. I just need to make money.
Yeah, usually they're just excited about getting in there and doing the services. That's what they're excited about that, but they don't think about all those important things that go into building that business and building it for the long term, not just being excited for right now. So to build that business in the long term, it's so important to have those systems, because everything works together. It's the sum of all parts. It's not just one thing.
Is it fair to say that this is, my assumption, is probably the most overlooked element of any entity in this space? And if we are the sum of our parts, presumably would, maybe to flip that, which is saying the same thing, is we're actually only as strong as our weakest piece.
Sure.
And if this is the missing link, then it seems like the consequence of that would be a disjointed customer experience. Because as I'm hearing you talk here, I can imagine, so the first impression someone sees of Sculpt Away, bam, it's on Facebook. Here's an ad, body shaping experts, right? That was the tagline.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And then they call in, they see this beautiful creative and this copy on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever. Is that a thing, Snapchat? I thought that was in the 90s. But anyway, they see an ad and they call in, and Kay's staff says, hey, thanks for calling Sculpt Away, the body sculpting experts. How can I help you? And there's that continuity all the way through. And then eventually in the consultation, I would imagine that there's that same continuity. What is the effect of that from a customer's perspective?
The customer can, they learn they can rely on you. They're getting what they think that they saw and what they wanted. You're not confusing them by not having the same message inside your facility that you did in your marketing. They wanted to come to your business because you are the body shaping experts. They really like that. They like the fact that you sent them an email before their appointment that educated them on the different treatments and the pros and cons. They like the fact that they could get on your website and they could read some white studies about the clinical studies on the treatments. And then they came in and the staff sat and talked to them, and they asked the staff a question, and the staff was able to answer their question and give them even more information. And then that carried all the way through to the consultation. So that patient is so much more likely to convert because everything was consistent. Your selling process actually did start with your marketing, because you carried it all the way through and continued to, that's what that client wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that the repetition of the tagline, which is just one element of your marketing message stack, which we'll unpack here in a moment, but the commitment to the consistent execution of its delivery can be likened to something like footprints or tracks on a path, where the more smooth out it is because there's this continuity, the more likely it is that customers flow into your funnels and then convert, because there's that repetition. Perhaps it's repetition, perhaps it's there's something to it. And I think it's something that everybody, a lot of people overlook. So do it, people, I think is a takeaway.
A lot of people try to, they're trying to do too many things instead of zeroing in on who you are and who your avatar is, and building everything around that, everything you do, every system that you write, every script that you have. And, people don't choose McDonald's because they have the best hamburgers. They choose McDonald's because they know what they're going to get. And so by making sure your clients know what they're going to get every time at every step of the game, that is what creates a winning and scalable and growing business.
I'm a 10-year veteran, 11-year veteran. Everybody says 10. I'm an 11-year veteran, and I've owned this spa, and I know what I'm doing. I don't need to do this, but I'm open to it. So teach me. This is ego preservation, by the way. I'm sure there's some listener out there that's like, okay, I'm converted. I need to do it, but I don't know how to do it. What do I do? Google? Do I internet? Do I interwebs this? Do I Googles this? Do I Twitter this? How do I do this? So let's maybe delineate the elements that compose a marketing message stack, let's call it. To me, I'm thinking, number one, your USP or UVP. Okay, I'll stop using acronyms. Your value prop. That's probably one. Number two would be something like maybe a tagline. Like, let me just ask you this. What are the elements of your marketing messaging, call it stack, that I'm not thinking of beyond those?
We need to identify and define in detail your avatar. Who are you serving? In addition to the USP elements, and you need to sit down and look at what you do that's really great or really unique, or something that would differentiate you from everybody else out there, and how you can use that. What kind of things, this is a 10 or 11-year veteran. What kind of things are you doing that your clients really like, that really serve your clients' needs and you are also passionate about? And that's developing your USP, and then taking that, what kind of message, what do they want, and developing the message for that person based on what you deliver, and then sticking with it. Like not straying off, saying, trying to do something a little different.
Yeah, and inside businesses, things that we took into consideration when we were building our brand and our USP, was everything from the colors we chose to the scent that we had in the spa. We always had one particular scent. It could not be anything else. And the sound, a particular type of music that we played, and that was it. That, and so again, it goes with that consistency, so they know what to expect every time a customer walks in the door. So it's the devil is in the details, and so we really tried to look at those and really analyze every detail, and then you write it down and you make sure everybody's on board with it, and then carry that on, that same message. You just carry it on to any campaigns that you're doing. Anything you're doing.
And if they're not on board?
Well, that are you talking about employees? So that the staff, that you just set that right, obviously. Yeah. So you just set that up from the beginning. When you have your systems in place and you have your protocols and you have, this is how we do it here. This is how we do it here. And you go through a training process, going through each system, but more importantly, telling them why you decided on these things, telling them why it's so important. So I think that goes a long way. And when they don't, again, you just sit down and you kind of have to refresh their memory. We had, of course, in the day-to-day business, we had a Monday morning meeting, Monday morning huddle. And so everybody would get together to talk about the week. And so if we would need to address anything, we could do that. But, it's all about managing the people, but setting them up from the beginning with success and telling them why we do the things you do, I think goes a long way.
We had very little pushback, really. Everyone
Mhm.
really buys into it, and it becomes fun. It becomes really team building, because this is who we are. This is
Mhm.
do it here. We do it better than everyone. Your team, it's really a team building. Once in a while you find a personality that just really, I guess it's not for them. And so that's just how it is. It's really not for them. So they're not the right person for our business, but they're probably a great person for another business. But that's rare. I can only think of one to two examples over all the years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the words of Don Draper from Mad Men, in the scene where he fires one of his employees, he takes a puff of his cigarette, not even looking at the employee, says, "I want you to go find a box, put your things in it, and leave. There's the door. Off you go." But of course, they said it much more eloquently and softer than my "you're fired."
No.
So I think there's a step just above all of this, I think, that I'd like to tease out with you guys. Now, I've been reading this book called Monster Loyalty, written by a gal who was studying how in the hell did Lady Gaga create this army of what she calls little monsters. What's the secret to that? And so the first two lessons, well, the first lesson is focus on your 1%ers, followed by lead with values. So as we think about how to develop your, let's say, your avatar, because that seems to be the starting point. Who do you want to serve? Because that will then serve as the filter to self-select out all the other people that might say, "Oh, I can't work with Kay. She's way too nice and way too maternal and loving and just a fantastic human. And Shannon, her hair looks better than mine. I can't work with these people because they're extraordinary," and they self-select out. So how do you go about developing that? How do you decide who your avatar is? Because I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to share what I'm thinking. How do you actually do that? How do you put feet to that?
I think it's a combination. It's you think about, what is my business doing? What problems am I solving, and how am I solving them, and who are they for? And for us, it was maybe easier because we had been in the business for so long, and we already knew who our target market was going to be. And that might be the case for many of the listeners who are already in business. They've been in business for years, and maybe they have more than one target market, and they need to sit down and see, who can we really serve? Because it's going to be what you're passionate about, what your beliefs are, and who it is best to benefit from that. That's Shannon. You have anything to add to the avatar?
Yeah, not that I could think of right just a second.
Listeners, Shannon is not dying, just so you know. She's
Sorry.
joking, but she's not
Sorry.
dying. She's okay.
Getting
Don't
choked
call
up.
911.
But yeah, for example, with Sculpt Away, when we were focused on body contouring, part of our avatar was women in their 40s and 50s and 60s, kind of that middle age, because as we age, our body changes. We start getting, well, we may always have unwanted fat that's harder to get rid of. But as you age and your metabolism slows down, it's even harder to get rid of. So, the majority of our patients were women, and they're, middle-aged women, So that's a an example that wanted to feel good about, you know, about themselves, wanted to, and that everybody says they want to exercise, but no, they really don't. You know, they want an easy way out.
Give me
I
the
mean,
easy button, Shannon.
you know,
Give me the magic
I mean,
pill.
yeah, it's like really, you know. So, so anyway, you just imagine what that your avatar is. Who are you serving?
Yeah, we kind
Um,
of cheated because we already knew who we served and we wanted to continue serving them at our other businesses we knew. And so it was that woman that Shannon described, the age group, and she had been, her entire life she'd been doing for others. And she finally reached a point that she could think about herself and maybe do something for herself. It was really important to it. And these were regular working women. We did not go after high income earners. These were just people that we could relate with, and our team could relate with, and we knew there was a need. So that was our avatar. And that's how we came up with it, is drawing on our past experience in both of our medical spas. And I think that's what the listeners could do too, is really take a look at, you know, who is it that I really enjoy? Who is it that always I can always seem to make happy? And then conversely, who is it I have a really hard time pleasing? And those are definitely not your avatars. So you get that narrow focus, and everything that you do speaks directly to that lady.
Here's an idea.
or man.
Tell me if you hate it. I believe that you have two options in life. Either life can happen to you, or you can happen to life. Okay, so what the hell do I mean? I think in this context, perhaps the simplest way to solve the Rubik's Cube of how do I do this might be, because this is what I'm hearing as you guys are speaking here, is you solve your own problem, or you start with who am I and how do I find more of me? Something like that. Is that a reasonable heuristic?
I think that that's great, because it has to be someone who shares your beliefs, who shares your passions, who, I think that that's definitely a good explanation. Yeah. And an approach.
Beautiful. Shannon is nodding her head. No, it's a terrible idea, Austin.
No.
You're fired. Very cool. Very cool. Well, maybe we can, let's see. Is there anything else? I know we have an hour and a half and there are 3 million hours of content that we can noodle on. Any other notes on the marketing messaging secrets that you'd want to share?
Consistency. I mean, we just keep going back to that. Everything has to be consistent, and whatever you're saying, you have to really be delivering. You can't say we're the body shaping experts and then your patients or your prospects come in and your team cannot answer their questions. Or, you know, you have nothing to offer them. You can't say we will, one treatment's all it takes to see visible reduction without delivering that. And so everything that you say, you better be able to back up. And if you can't, or if you don't, then you have a system to make it right. So because we're all human, and everybody gets different types of results from our modern technology. So, you know, but that's where our systems just came in. It made everything efficient, accurate, repeatable, reliable, consistent. And your marketing message has to be, you have to be your marketing message in your operations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's change gears slightly to scriptization, which is not English thing. I'll have to check with Webster on that. Obviously, if you want to have congruency across the org, the entity, you've got to scriptify things. Now, Kay, in our discussions before we joined each other today, you mentioned the Chick-fil-A, the subtle little differentiation that they have when they when they say goodbye, they're not saying you're welcome. They're literally all told to say my pleasure, which you hear that as an employee and you're thinking, oh my God, my boss is micromanaging every word I say. I have no autonomy. I have no freedom. But what they don't realize is that piece that we just mentioned, is that consistency. So what can we share about scriptization, which there's got to be a verb for that. Let's say creating scripts, let's say, and how we go about thinking through the development of those, what we need to script out, what does not need to be script out. And why don't we just start there as our first note on scripts?
Okay, well, you mentioned my pleasure, and I think I've mentioned probably twice already, just this morning or this afternoon, that when patients walked into our facility, they were greeted with a scripted greeting. Everyone said, "Welcome to Sculpt Away," or "Welcome back to Sculpt Away." You could follow with, "How are you?" or "Good afternoon," but that was the first thing you said, and everybody got it. And patients would just grin. They liked it. Now, as far as that's important, because that's like right off the bat. The minute they walk in the door, you are greeting them the same consistent greeting that is welcoming, it's warm. And then after that, that team member can infuse their own personality. To come on, hey girl, come on in. Or if you're more proper, it's like, well, come on over here. But it doesn't take individuals' personalities away to have some scripted conversations or greetings. What it does is it just
gives them a place to start.
Yeah.
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 It takes away that anxiety of, a lot of times when you start a conversation, anytime, like, where do I begin? And when they know exactly what to say, then it takes the stress level out and it creates a positive attitude. You're already, knowing the right thing to say, having the right attitude. And so you can go from there. And it's like Kay said, it's important in consistency too. So it doesn't take away that individual, conversation that they have. It just gives them a place to start.
Also,
yeah, you mentioned,
go ahead.
there's some phone type scripting that can, you want to answer the phone. Again, it's a greeting. Everyone answered the phone, "Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Sculpt Away. My name is Kay. How can I help you?" And then the question, and then we had some easy answers too for some of the more common questions, some of which may be challenging, because always the first question is, how much is it? Well, you don't want to hide the price, but you want to give the value proposition before you give a price. So how do you get to there? And people have a really hard time with that. So our scripts that might even be a response to a question like that, actually our team loved them because it gave them the guidance and the answer to be able to get it done. So we didn't have any pushback on that.
Can I peek into that window and maybe double click on how you handle the "what's the price" blocker or objection? Because we have literally, as an organization, for what feels like years now, debated what is the right approach.
Yeah.
And it's my standing desk is losing its mind. This is what happens when you serve in the Air Force Honor Guard and your back gets destroyed. You have to move every 5 minutes because you stood like a robot for 5 hours at a time. So excuse the awkward shifting to sitting here. Yeah. So the what is the price thing? Because human behavior is predictable largely, especially when there is some sort of economic transaction that's about to happen. And the patterns usually are, what's the price? Just give me the information, some variant of that. Like all the objections in the universe distill down to those two things, roughly speaking. Or how are you better than Sculpt, whatever, a competitor? I was trying to think of some funny wordplay there, but there is none. But at a competitor down the street, how are you better than them or whatever? So how did you guys deal with what is the price objection? I'm curious what your strategy was.
Well,
Scripted out for your team.
Before even that, you got to get to know that person even on the phone. So you start a conversation, asking them open-ended questions. How did you find us? And what do you know about the device you're calling about? Have you seen, what kind of research have you done? And when you're asking those type of questions, you get to know the personality of the person, and you kind of continue to take control of the conversation, number one. But number two, you can kind of get an insight into where they are in the sales funnel, so to speak, because they might have been on your list for a year and a half, or they might just seen an ad and picked up the phone. So, and also how you get to know if, okay, do they have an event that they're trying to do this for? Or are they like, well, I've been thinking about doing this for a couple of years and maybe I'll pull the trigger, maybe I won't. But by asking those questions, you're also developing a relationship with your brand, with your establishment. So you're already know, like, and trust, right? So you're establishing that right from the beginning. And also by asking the right questions before you get into the pricing, you can also, it helps you to pre-qualify, if you will. So, if you have something that may be out of their price range, maybe you have something that would work for them better. And so you kind of get to know, and so what we did was through those scripts, when you're prepared, you know what questions to ask, you get all that information, you built the relationship. Okay, now let's get you in for a consultation. Let me get you scheduled in. And then the person that's doing that consultation has all of this info already that they know about this person. So price becomes less of an objection because they don't know what they're asking for, so that's where you got a lot of things to do before you get to the price. And I know everybody's, because they don't know what else to ask, right? I mean, you call up, all of us do that. Well, how much is it? Because what else are you going to ask? It's kind of like an intrigue. Like, what are you going to say? Hey, how are you doing? So with customers, it just they don't know what they're asking. So you build up before you answer that. But you can give price range. That's what we did. We gave price ranges and might say, but there's a whole build up to that.
Yeah, and the scripts did it in a way that it didn't feel like you were deflecting. It didn't feel
right.
Like it's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. How did you hear about it? Oh, what area are you concerned with? You show interest because you are interested, and then you start that conversation. And it can go down more than one or two little paths, because there's going to be people that are like getting annoyed. And so you need to cut it and go down this little path. And then there's going to be those that are like actually enjoying engaging in a conversation and getting to know you and talking about themselves and what they'd like to do. And you can take them all the way through. So that's how we handled it. We never just answered the question, but we never said, well, we can't answer it. You need to come in for a consultation. We got to know that person as much as possible, so that we could meet their needs, or determine if we couldn't. That happened rarely. So yes, and then like Shannon said, we gathered all this information, and the whole team knew this person, so much about this person before they even walked in the door. So.
Well, because of Shannon's exceedingly chipper enthusiasm, I just volunteered her as tribute to role play with me as an irritable prospective client calling in. Ring, ring. Shannon,
you're gonna put me on the spot.
Price? I'm kidding.
Hey, Austin, how are you today?
The price is lose my number. Yeah, never call again. If you have to ask, you can't afford it.
No.
Yeah, by the way, don't say that, listeners. That's a terrible strategy. What I just said, that's a terrible strategy. Script it out. Yeah, this is it goes back to, two things come to mind. One is General Eisenhower's quote of, I have known nothing to be more useless than plans, but nothing to be as indispensable as planning. Or Mike Tyson's much more interesting take on that, which is everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. So the wrong place to try new ideas and think on your feet is on a call. You should have everything scripted out, every single possible pattern, every single possible blocker, objection, whatever. Think through what your response is. And back to Lady Gaga's secrets to the creation of her army is knowing how that overlays, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, with what the heck your values are. Are your values be radically transparent? And the first thing you say when someone calls in is, yeah, it's 10 grand. Can you swing that? No, we're probably not right for you. Well, no, I might want to come in for a consultation. Oh, you do? It's 10,000 to start. Can you swing that? Which maybe that's not your value set, but yeah, scriptify every single thing. That said, what else did you guys script out? Did you script out your consultation approach? What else?
Consultations, follow-up, messaging, follow-up from prospects that then also follow-up visits, consultations. I mean, you name it.
It's in the treatment
Wow.
room, maybe not scripts. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. So did you guys role play that then? Or how did you, well, the enforcement is simple. It's did you do it or not? If you didn't, you're fired. But did you role play that? Is that a part of the Monday huddle, for example?
Sometimes. And then on the phones, we could hear, we had recorded messages, and then even in consultations, we could periodically record them, and then use it as a training moment, So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you can learn. Even for myself, when I've heard myself, I'm like, oh my God, you learn so much, but it's so important. It's like after, game day, when people are looking at the replays, even though I'm not even a sports person, but they do that, right? They watch the game, they watch their plays, the previous. Well, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You need to record yourself. You need to hear, and then you can make adjustments where necessary. And that's how the scripting, you always want to, tweak those scripts. And you learn something new all the time, but you have somewhere to, like we said before, start, but also you avoid unnecessary questions, and you're able to take control of whatever situation and make sure those important elements are in there. Maybe it's not word for word, sure, it may not be exactly word for word, or maybe you rearrange the order, but if they know the elements of it and it's still in there, then it all works.
Very difficult to build a house without framing and structure. But, you want to put up certain wallpaper, great. I don't care. Put up your own wallpaper, hang your own photos.
Sure.
So is a way then to preserve the autonomy that employees have, which they have to have. We know that from Dan Pink's work, from the book, I think it's called Drive, which says that the three things that employees want are mastery, purpose, and autonomy. And the autonomy piece, what I'm hearing is, yes, I'm going to handcuff you in some sense as to what you're going to say, my pleasure versus you're not welcome, but you have the autonomy to control how you deliver that message. And there's a lot there: tonality, cadence, your vocal variety. Do you yell at them? Do you bring it back and just, hey, my pleasure? The vocal varieties and what have you. Is that a reasonable way to think about how you can help your employees feel that they're preserving autonomy is in the delivery and those bits?
Yeah, I think it provides scripting, and the things we're talking about provide really nice boundaries and really nice expectations. And everyone operates, I think, better knowing what their expectations are, knowing what the boundaries are to get there. And then that gives them all the rest of that room, all the rest of the personality and to be able to relax and really perform where they flourish, because they're not worried about, oh my God, what am I going to do if they ask me this question? Well, they already know. Oh, how am I going to start this? They already know how they're going to start it. They already know that how it's going to flow through, but they know how to solve these things, but they can flourish in what they do best, in what each of us is unique and flourishes in different ways.
I'm tempted not to say this because it's reminding me of Orwell's one of his, was it a tagline from 1984? Freedom is slavery, ignorance is knowledge, or I forget the third piece there. But as I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking that creativity is actually constraint, meaning if you don't have some sort of, I'll use terms that I understand. If you don't have a metronome with the tempo, it's very difficult to create a beat around that. If you don't have some sort of constraint, like I'm playing at 80 BPM on the hi-hat, and then I'm free to do whatever I want with my other appendages. So I suspect that the scripting is a form of constraint, which gives you the rails that you need to be able to ensure that you're going from this, A to B in the shortest distance possible, open to close, a conversion, and you're removing the ambiguity of, to I think it was Shannon's point, what do I do here? I don't know. The guy's yelling at me about the price and I'm stuck. Is that true? Creativity is found in constraint.
There's a place for creativity though, because creativity arises when you have team members approach you or approach the team and say, I had an issue when I was doing so-and-so, or when I said so-and-so. Wouldn't this work better instead? Or I have an idea. And that's where creativity is, because everyone on the team knows that everyone sees the benefit of doing what we do. But sometimes it can be improved. It always can be improved. And sometimes you need to change. Sometimes you need to adapt, make adjustments. And I think that's where their creativity, when they feel free, the freedom to bring to you that I think we can do this better. I have an idea, and that kind of thing. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. But
yeah.
So yes, I agree. But I think there is a place for creativity, and I think it's there.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like writing prompts, at school, and they say, hey, go write me a novel. And you're like, blank page, panic mode. I don't know what to do. And then someone's like, I don't know, start with this. Once upon a time. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Here it is.
Yes. Gives you a place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, I think we have maybe said everything that could ever be said on scripting, unless there's any other notes. We're 50 minutes into the show, and ladies and gents, we are on secret 1 of 3. Is there any other notes that you would want to share with the world on secret number 1 and this idea set of systematizing your scripting and your marketing message stack?
No, it's the basis of our success. Yeah.
And listeners, to remind you, they went from 0 to over 7 figures in 1 year. And they're saying this is their secret juju or mojo or whatever the term is, to go full race car, nitrous oxide, to the moon we go. So if you're not thinking through your systems, I would argue you're probably wrong. So have a think on that, listeners. If you want, you're adults, do what you want. Okay, so finally, secret 2, which is one that might actually surprise the listeners. Results. So I think categorically, this is, well, I'm going to turn the baton over to you two. What is secret number 2? Tell us everything about secret 2.
Well, secret 2 is get the best results. And it has nothing to do with getting the best machine or device, because we think that most machines or devices are great and they do what they're supposed to do. And you just have to pick the right one for your market, your business, your avatar. But it's actually supporting the lymphatic system post-treatment. Because think about it, all non-invasive fat reduction treatments will either destroy or injure the fat cells and release the contents, the lipids, the toxins, the fluids into the body, into the interstitial space. But then that's it for the technology. After that, the body is going to have to eliminate it. So depending on the health of your patient's lymphatic system is going to depend on the type of results that you get. So we, as the body shaping experts, wanted to deliver everything that we knew would help our patients get the results they want, the reason they came to us. Well, without our education, number one, to the clients about the lymphatic system, how it functions, different lifestyle choices they could make to optimize it. And number two, offering natural holistic treatments to support their lymphatic system post-treatment to get them the best results. That's what the body shaping experts would do. And again, there's our tagline, our marketing message coming all the way through to that. And that's how we did that. So that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, so I guess Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, because there's all kinds of devices and things that you can do to help stimulate the lymphatic system. And so educating patients on post-care, on things that they could do to help their body out. And so with that, from a business aspect too, when you have them coming in for lymphatic treatments, you get to see them more, and you're able to cross-sell, cross-promote things. You're able to maintain that relationship. You're able to, you're going to be there if they have something else they wanted to address, if they need further treatments. Maybe they're kind of slow to get results. Well, when you have them coming in to help stimulate that lymphatic system, then you're able to address those needs right away. And also, it was really good to put together a membership. We're not talking about that right now, but just in the future, I mean, it was such a great and easy transition for maintenance and lymphatic support was through a membership, and it really kept them coming back for long periods of time.
Most patients think that they live a healthy lifestyle. You ask them, are you living a healthy lifestyle because you need that your lymphatic drainage to work, blah, blah, blah. And they'll say yes. But when you start asking them specifics, like how much water do you drink a day? What kind of exercise do you get in a day? Do you have to sit for your job? What's your diet like? When you start asking those specifics that affect lymphatic function, you'll find that most patients these days don't live the type of lifestyle that supports healthy lymphatic drainage. It's just, that's how our lifestyles are. We all would say, yeah, I eat healthy. Yeah, I live a healthy lifestyle. But when you start asking the specifics, and then you can educate them where they can see that, and they can see the benefit of making some lifestyle adjustments and coming in for treatments, like Shannon says, you build relationships. Immediately, they look at you like, you are a body shaping expert. You do care about me and that I get the results that I want after this treatment. And you're even offering me, these type of solutions to help me do that. So it not only helps your patients, but it does wonders for building your business as well, both in your reputation and in your revenue.
So you mean to say that my obsession for eating blueberry ice cream is not healthy, although there's blueberries in it? My world is crumbling. Holy moly. So jokes aside, I think you clearly are right. The nation has grown increasingly sedentary, and if the lymphatic system requires movement to pump and do its job, and to excrete the toxins and all the rubble that we effectively create through the adipose tissue and the adipocytes that we destroy through whatever technology, sculpture, Emsculpt, whatever. If you're not taking a cleanup crew to get that out, what do you know? Your results are half as good as they could be, or whatever the actual percentage might be.
Yeah, you
So then,
just visualize them. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So there's obviously a trillion options, it's a bit high. There's a lot of options for lymphatic assist therapies. And you guys have a downloadable cheat sheet that we'll be plugging here in the show notes for that. But are there any high level thoughts on the selection of a therapy to serve in that capacity that listeners should think about?
Well, I think you need to go back to your avatar and to who you are and what they would like and what would fit their lifestyle. Is it going to be something like the vibration platform where are they going to be able to pop in as often as possible and use it as often as possible? Or are you going to need to offer something that's going to be like a more intense treatment, like your endospheres or pressotherapy, that's actually going to really get them that treatment? So I think there's a lot of great choices, and we highlighted our favorites on the cheat sheet, and they're all good. And I think you just have to look at your business and your patients and what would best serve them. We offered multiple ones. And like Shannon said, they worked wonderful in our membership. Maybe one day we'll talk about that, but yeah.
Sure. Well, we'll leave it at that for now, because there's another secret that we need to get into, and we'll probably have an entire episode or two devoted to a sort of buyer's guide on how to think about these products and these products and these, excuse me, products, as I choke and die over here. So we'll put a pin in that for now. So on to the last secret of Sculpt Away's success, which is the art of follow-up visits. So tell me about how you guys create those steps, the follow-up execution, the strategy, etc., as a starting point.
Can you guess what the first one is? Having a script.
Oh my goodness. Revelatory. If only we just spoke about that. We should do an episode on that. Okay. Is there anything else meat-wise on the bone of the architecture of those steps?
Oh yeah, there's about 7 steps. And I have to get on a soapbox here because we have such a tendency, I think, all of us, to look at follow-up visits as just a follow-up visit. You know, what do you have at 12? Just a follow-up visit. But oh my goodness, I think follow-up visits truly are, if not the most important, one of the most important type visits and services that we have, because it's a follow-up visit where your client is ultimately going to form their opinion of you. Did you get me the results I want? And if you didn't, then why? Are you really a body shaping expert, or are you not? Are you going to make me happy? And then I'm going to really build your business because I'm going to go tell everyone how great you are, and I'm going to leave reviews. So it's like, you have so many opportunities at that follow-up visit, and you want to address them. You want to be able to get them the optimum results, and you can't do it unless they come to your follow-up visit and you have the right steps during your follow-up visit. And are you going to build your business with them? So, you know, when they first come in and you first talk to them, you need to get their subjective feelings about how do they think everything went. So how do you think, how did everything go? How's everything looking? And that's your discovery, because that's gonna be part of what you do when you're ready to sit down and follow the scripts in the follow-up visit. So you collect that data. They're either going to be, oh my gosh, it's great. My friends are even telling me that they can tell a difference, or it's going to be, I don't really see a difference, or something else. Then you need to get the weight, to get the objective findings, the weight and the photos. And then you need to put all that together. And while you're doing that, you need to have some kind of busying activity for that patient, because it's going to take you about 10 minutes or so to kind of get the photos lined up, whatever you're using, look at their weight, review their record, keeping in mind their subjective feelings. And so we use the vibration platform, and it's a 10-minute program, and you put them on it. You could have an educational video that they could sit and watch. There's a number of things you could do, but you don't want them sitting there just waiting while your team member is going and putting everything together and deciding on her approach. So then after that comes the sit down. And that's because you whatever your treatment plan or your follow-up plan, you need to have that conversation. And then that's when the rubber meets the road, because you're either going to find out we're happy and we're going down this path, or we're not happy and we need to figure out, is it unrealistic expectations? Is it what we call slow to clear, which is a lymphatic process, or what is it? And at every step of the way, there is a twist and turn with little scripting that goes with each and a plan, all the way down to they're unhappy and that your treatment specialist, your team member is not going to be able to resolve it, and you don't want them leaving like that, to the protocol for getting the manager or whoever it is up there to go over your conflict resolution process with them, because and every bit of that is pretty scripted. So, but it's all those steps, because if they're happy, that is your opportunity to get reviews and video testimonials. And we have a blog with a free download of the script on how to ask for a video testimonial, because a lot of team members are hesitant to ask for that, and also the protocol on how the step-by-step leading up to that script. So we'll let you know about that too, because that would be nice to have. But yeah, so because when you think about it, the studies show that by having these happy patients continue to do business with you, it increases your profits anywhere between 25 and 95%. So it really, it breaks all our hearts. None of us likes an unhappy patient, just that in and of itself. But there's so many other reasons to find a way to make that person happy. And so follow-ups are just so important. You capitalize on the happy, you capture the bad, and you fix them. And then you want to make sure all your follow-ups come in. What is your system for getting them in or reaching out to find out why they didn't come in? Because patients do us a favor when they come in and they're not happy, because they're giving us an opportunity to make them happy. So we got to find out why the ones that haven't come in have not come in, and try to reach any that are not happy and make them happy. So.
I really liked the distinction of the subjective and objective components and intentionally delineating two, because that will help you navigate the conversation tree of, well, they're saying this, so go this way. Yeah. And you're saying that you had the branches of the tree, or the roots of the tree, separated based upon the subjective responses that you received, like happy, angry, indifferent. Wow. I don't think people think this granularly about their messaging, and they need to even as close and granular as which adjectives should I use here? How do I avoid over fluffizing? Let's say it's a super duper great, really extraordinary, awesome treatment. It's the best. Sorry, what? I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, the good news, listeners, is that Kay and Shannon both, who, I don't know, they just run $1 million spa. relatively small operation, 7 figures, they are offering their scripts for you to, I don't want to use the term steal here, but for free. So leverage that, and I'll link that in the show notes. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Any other pieces to that? Actually, yes, there's a glaringly obvious piece here, which is we're living in the age of information where no one wants to talk to what is generally a moronic salesperson. I have been known to fall into that camp at earlier stages in my career, maybe even as recent as of late. Who knows? You can ask the people I spoke with in the past. But in the spirit of avoiding that, and given that the buyer today does something like, from research I've seen, 70% of their homework before they make a decision, before they pick up the phone, one of the things they're looking at are things like your reviews, your social proof. Do you have scathing, nasty, Kay and Shannon are terrible type feedback on Facebook or whatever? So we want to build a review engine, we could say, to garner and gather these rave reviews from your super fans, or your, in the words of Lady Gaga, your little monsters, your army of 1%ers. So how do you do that? I mean, this is perhaps why this whole episode is so interesting, is that it literally comes down to systematizing everything, including what you say. Are there any other notes that you would share on the getting the reviews?
Timing.
Testimonials.
Timing is important.
Okay.
So the minute
more.
they're excited about, ask them how they're doing and they're excited about it, that's when you capture that. If they're willing to just do a video right there for you. So the minute they say they're happy, you can say, hey, would you mind, can I get a testimonial from you real quick?
How do you do that? Like literally, how do you do that? Is it just an iPhone? Do you have some hey, come back to our studio and we'll do a full-on production for 3 minutes and then edit it? Like, what does that look like in when it's made manifest?
It's easy.
Well, go ahead.
No, you.
No, you go. No, I'll go.
Well, I spoke over you.
Okay, executive decision. Shannon, over to you.
Now I forgot the question. We were talking about how you capture those reviews and testimonials.
We need a talking stick. We need a talking stick.
We've asked them at that time. It was informal, but we did have, looking back, we had a
Step and repeat.
Yeah, step and repeat with our logo on the back. And so we had a pretty big establishment, but it was in a back hall basically, and we had the camera there. And so we could just say, oh, okay, do you mind if I capture this real quick? And so it was already set up. So we would just have them go back there and just record it real quick.
We did them different ways. Like sometimes we could do it informal, somebody would just take out their iPhone and do it. It's like, I guess, sometimes we had something set up and at other times it may not have been accessible and we did iPhone. There really wasn't like, you have to do it this way, but it was, and our team was taught how to coach them on what to say, because they don't know what to say. So you kind of just want to get their story. And they tell their story of, hi, my name is Kay. I developed this pooch. I don't know how it happened, but, I read about Sculpt Away and this is what I liked about him. And I came in and this is what I liked. And now my results are amazing. I just want to let everyone know. And so it's kind of like, it's their testimonial, but it's your story. It's your business's story. And so if you can get them to do a little story, that's good. And your team members can just coach them. And what makes it a lot easier to get them to agree to a video testimonial is if you have videos. If your team has gone on video and they're playing in your facility or they're on your website. And we did things like Tips on Tuesday videos, and our team members would just take turns delivering whatever the tip was. And so we had everybody captured on video. And that made, I think, it easier to ask for them to do a video. So.
Social proof. Hey, everyone else does it. Why won't you?
Yeah.
What did you call it? A step and repeat?
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
big banners that have your logo all over the back. That's what we called it.
That is so cool. So I'm envisioning they leave the treatment room. Oh my God, I just lost 60 inches with sculpture, which that doesn't happen, by the way, listeners. It's a great machine, but not 60 inches. You probably die if you lost 60 inches. They leave the treatment room and they're saying, Shannon, wow. And you say, great. Do you want to tell the world about this? And they say, yeah, would love to. Bam, you pull them into whatever section of the establishment where you have, so I'm visualizing either a green screen or something that has your logo in the background. Camera already set up, or maybe some sort of, to do this cheaply, you would just have some sort of iPhone holder effectively.
Yeah.
That's
And then
exactly
you just,
what it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's an iPhone. Okay, so it's cheap. This
Yeah.
is not some big overly produced,
Right.
you have a key light, a fill light, a backlight, and your Sony A7C camera and blah, blah, blah. It's just, no, iPhone goes here, talk, done.
Yeah.
And then you post it, I'm assuming, on everywhere, Insta, Facebook.
Yeah, we had testimonials on our homepage that you can scroll through, but also, of course, on any social media that you have.
Wow. Anything else that we should touch on Secret 3?
I don't know. We could go on and on about all the secrets, honestly, but we'd be here all day.
This is true. And there's real work to be done. Yes, I hear you. Well, I'm going to throw what might be a curveball at you guys if you're willing to disclose or not disclose. This is not some court of law. Share, let's say, another category of secrets. Now, here's the setup. So there is, frankly, this is probably the topic for another episode, but I can't resist. The question is, given that there is such an ocean of, I'm leery to say misinformation or disinformation or anything of the sort. Let's say advertisers fluff, inflated numbers on the data, hey, we see a 30% reduction of adipose tissue, whatever. But in reality, that was done on, a different species in their study. And how does that overlay to humans? Who knows? Are there any, speaking of secrets, dirty little secrets of the world of contouring that no one is willing to admit that jump to mind?
Not sure what no one's willing to admit. So let's see.
We were always
slightly difficult question.
happily willing to admit anything.
Well, I don't know. A dirty little secret. Well, I mean, you mentioned that most often you have to look carefully at the studies that show that reduction percentage. But I think at the end of the day, all the machines or devices do work, and you have to know what it really does before you make your representation. I think that that's providers get into trouble, I guess, when they maybe say 30% reduction. Now I think that you can say studies show this. Now we clinically have seen, that everyone, but I can't, can you think of anything?
I would say
Like Shannon,
not like a secret, but I would just say, under promise and over deliver, know your devices. And yeah, that's what you have to do for the patients, and take large claims with a grain of salt, and do your own research, your own study, know what you're offering. If looking at an individual to get some type of reduction, you may need they have to come in for 6, they have to be compliant, and you need to be able to tell them, manage those expectations. It's super important that you manage those expectations and not make promises that you can't keep. And semantics is everything. And customer experience at the end of the day is what matters. Because if they might be telling you, I want to lose 2 inches in my waist, and they lose 2 inches in their waist, maybe they're still not happy. But if that experience the entire time, whether they saw you 6 times or they need to come in for 12 times or, whatever, as long as they have that excellent experience every time, that it's really matters what they feel and not what it is.
The word that jumps to mind is truth, which is to say, along the lines of what you just shared, setting
Right, be honest
expectations that are
about
truthful.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And just and they respect that.
Yeah. Well, I can think of no higher note to land the plane on, which is conflating 2 metaphors. So take that, you English majors. Awesome. Well, I don't want to leave the listeners hanging. So let's close out the show with 2 pieces here. So the last one is this. Is there anything that we did not touch on that you'd like to share with the 3 secrets that we revealed today?
No.
Okay.
We covered a lot.
Yeah.
We did cover a lot. Beautiful. Okay. Got it. Well, here's the final question. How can the listeners get in touch with the both of you?
Well, you can find us at the Body Contouring Academy, bodycontouringacademy.com, which we created when we were told by the manufacturer of sculpture that so many providers were having, they're like, they have not found the success that you've had. Can you help them? And we did talk to other providers. And we found that many were struggling, and we felt we had it figured out. So we formed the Body Contouring Academy to help providers with body contouring businesses and share our knowledge and our experience and even our materials to help them, because it can be so super successful. So that's where you can find us, bodycontouringacademy.com.
And I will replug your plug, which is to say that this site is insanely insightful. And if you don't find that you up-level the direction of your practice, I don't know what to tell you, because it is the best content I have seen in the space. So listeners, check them out. Shannon Kay, I'm so glad we could pull this off today and made it happen. Thanks for being on today. And I hope we can do this again here soon.
Thanks for having us, Austin.
Thanks, Austin.
Yeah.
Awesome. Take care.